This old guy DIY video has to do with repairing the float on an oil injection system for a 1992 Mariner 40 horsepower Magnum. And in this case, a neighbor asked for some help, and I went to YouTube. I had no experience with outboards with oil injection, but a couple guys on YouTube had great videos, and I'll have their links below. And what I learned is if you look down in here, that float that's down in the bottom consists of This old guy DIY video has to do with repairing the float in the oil injection system for a 1992 Mariner Magnum 40 horsepower 2-cylinder. And I didn't know anything about the oil injection system on Mariner motors until I went to YouTube. A couple of guys there had great videos, and I'll include links below if you'd like to see the longer story. And here you see that I'm working in a 5-gallon bucket so I can be in the house in the air conditioning and not leak oil all over my house. And the other thing is I'll refer to these two wires down here. But if you have an issue where your motor starts sending the alarm and you've confirmed that you have oil in this reservoir and the thing is peeing a steady stream out of that telltale, the issue is probably the float has failed down in the bottom there. And the way to check it is to just go and disconnect these wires, and when you go to your oil reservoir you'll see there's a wire that comes around the side that has these two lines on it. So just disconnect those, and if the alarm goes off and it's still peeing water and you can see that there's oil here, your issue is probably the float. The guys with the good videos on YouTube showed me that the float consists of a clip on top, and then there's a actual float that's some kind of cork or plastic material that had a magnet attached to it. And what happens apparently is over time the magnet falls away from the float, and then in the bottom of the unit the magnet is stuck on the bottom where it closes the circuit, causing the alarm to go off, and the float actually goes up to the top where it's supposed to be. So the plan here is to take that assembly out, reattach the magnet to the float, and then put it back together after the glue is dried for 24 hours. And the tools I'm going to use for this adventure are about an 8-inch $1 screwdriver that I picked up somewhere along the way, and a 16-inch Harbor Freight Super Duper needle nose. So I'll go and disassemble the thing, and hopefully I'll show you the parts here in just a minute. As I mentioned, this little screwdriver was 8 inches long, but I went in there and measured, and it was 10 inches from the edge of the plastic here down to the clip. So what I ended up doing is just taking some duct tape and joining a pick from a $5 Menards hook and pick set. I just duct taped it to the screwdriver, and you can see I got that retaining clip out. Now that the clip is out, if you can see down there, I took the float off of the post, and the magnet is still on the post. So you can see that was the root cause of the problem. Now I'll fish those parts out with the screwdriver with the pick tied to it. As suggested by one of the YouTube guys whose advice I followed, I took both surfaces, and you can see that's a little bit rough, but I just put them on this sandpaper, moved them around like that a little bit, so I have something for the adhesive sealant. I'm using this black silicone from Permatex. So I'll put it on this side, and then I'll set the magnet on top. And the magnet is kind of a flexible product. It's not a hard magnet like you might have expected. So anyway, we'll put some of the black silicone on here, and then we'll put the magnet on top, and we'll let it sit for 24 hours. Well, the Permatex set up overnight, and now the little magnet is on the float. So when this thing is reinstalled in the unit, it'll sit like that. And to verify the fix before I take this back to the neighbor's boat, I'm going to take the multimeter and I set it to ohms. I'm just going to touch the two contacts to these ends of the wires and see if I have an open circuit or a closed circuit. So I'll do that right now. Since I need my hands for filming and I don't have clips on the end of these probes, I just taped the probes to the respective wires. and you can see there's an open circuit. So now I'm going to take this little guy, drop him in where he belongs, and see if that closes the circuit. So the little magnet piece on the float is now in position, and to demonstrate that it works, I disconnected this probe, and I'll show you as I touch this. Watch the multimeter. So when I put the probe to it, you can see that the circuit is closed. The switch is working as it should. If you look down here, you'll see that I'm putting my thumb to it and then away from it. So that was the root cause of the problem. Now I'll just button this up and it's time to put it back on the boat. Now I tried reassembling that snap clip with a screwdriver and that long needle nose like the other guys did, and I was unsuccessful. So I'm taking a different approach. This 1/2 inch PVC is about the right size to go on the outside of that clip. So I just put the duct tape on the outside to hold it enough that it'll stay in position like this as I drop it down over the post. And then when I put it on the post, since I have pressure around the whole outside, I think it'll just snap on. We'll see how this works. With my PVC and duct tape solution, that little clip went down there and snapped in with no problem at all. It took about 4 seconds. Prior to reattaching the magnet to the float, when you started this motor, it beeped continuously because it thought it was low on oil. Notice there's no beep. I think you can hear the motor running. See it being a good steady stream. So we'll call this one a success. Have a great day.